The first notice said remove backyard livestock within 10 days. The second one added daily fines. By the third, they threatened further action, like my 3 quiet hens were a public menace. My kids cried at bedtime, afraid someone would take their pets in the night. That's when I knew this wasn't about chickens. It was about power, and they were about to learn they'd picked the wrong coop to rattle. If you like true HOA takedowns with clever, feel-good endings, hit subscribe. You'll get a new story every week, and you won't want to miss the twist in this one. Our backyard isn't big, but it's our little patch of calm. I built a small cedar coop with a white trim that matches our house. 3 hens, Ginger and Biscuit, scratch gently in the mulch and tuck themselves in at dusk. No roosters, no noise. Fresh eggs for neighbors, compost for the garden, lessons about care and patience for my kids. It felt like the very spirit of community. Then Karen became HOA president. She arrived with a tape measure, a binder of standards, and the smile of someone who thinks rules are more important than people. The first day she saw the coop, she tilted her head like it insulted her. Backyard livestock is not allowed, she said. I kept my voice calm. It's not livestock, it's 3 hens. And the city allows up to 6, no roosters. Karen sniffed. City rules don't override our bylaws. I'd read the bylaws. Twice. There was nothing about chickens, only nuisances, noise, and unsanitary conditions. Dot sneezes quieter than Karen's SUV door. 2 days later came the bright envelope, remove backyard livestock. 10 days. Fines after that. My daughter clutched Biscuit, whispering, they can't take her, right? No one is taking your hen, I said, though my stomach turned. At the next HOA meeting, I stood in line behind neighbors arguing about mailbox paint. When my turn came, Karen folded her arms. State your issue. My hens are clean, quiet, and legal under city code, I said, holding up a folder. No bylaw bans them. If you're going to call them a nuisance, show proof. A board member coughed. We have anonymous complaints. From how many homes? I asked. Karen's lips thinned. Multiple. Then let's hear them. Silence. I passed around photos, spotless coop, covered feed, rodent-proof bins. I had egg donation notes from neighbors, and a letter from our vet stating the birds were healthy. Karen rapped the table. The board will review. 10-day clock stands. Cliffhanger number 1. That night, I reread everything, bylaws, city ordinances, even county notes. The path was right there. Our city encouraged small backyard flocks for sustainability, with setbacks and sanitation rules I already exceeded. I called the city's animal control and zoning office. Both confirmed we were compliant. The next morning, a new letter arrived, 24-hour deadline due to escalating nuisance. I stared at it, then at Ginger dust bathing under the hydrangea like a tiny, happy cloud. My anger cooled into focus. I started making calls. First, the neighborhood garden club. Then our local 4-H leader. The elementary school art teacher. The senior center coordinator who runs the Grand Friends Garden Walk. I asked simple questions. Would you like a free egg compost workshop in the park? Want classroom visits where kids meet a hen and learn how food gets to the table? Interested in a pollinator day with a chicken story corner? Every person said yes. At pickup time, my son's friend waved. Are the chickens okay? They're fine, I said. And they might be famous soon. Like? TV famous, he asked, eyes wide. Neighborhood famous, I grinned. Which is better? The following Saturday, I set up a folding table at the community green for the HOA's Spring Beautify Day. I'd paid the small vendor fee and listed the booth as From Egg to Garden, a family workshop. On the table, handouts about city rules, photos of the coop, a clean bin of pine shavings, and a clear container showing how kitchen scraps become compost. That came in a little carrier for 10 minutes at a time, no stress, lots of smiles. Karen marched up, heels punching holes in the grass. You cannot display farm animals at an HOA event. This is an educational booth, I said easily. And Dot is here for 10 minutes with full permission from the city, see? I handed her the email printout from the community liaison. We're teaching kids about food waste in gardens. You know, beautify. A little girl piped up, can I pet her? Dot tucked her head and cooed. Karen froze as 3 phones filmed the sweetest, quietest hen in the world turning strangers into fans. One neighbor leaned to me and whispered, you should pitch this for the summer picnic. The board needs goodwill. Karen heard it. Her jaw set. This booth is closed. A voice from behind her said, actually, it stays. Mr. Rizzo, the HOA treasurer, set a small sign on my table, approved educational exhibit. He glanced at Karen. We need positive press. Karen stalked off. Cliffhanger number 2. By afternoon, my sign-up sheet bulged with emails, teachers, grandparents, gardeners. Someone from the local paper asked, could we feature a backyard-to-table series with your family and the school? Only if you spell the hens' names right, I said. That night, I tucked the birds in and sat on the porch, listening to the quiet. No crowing. No noise. Just the soft rustle of feathers settling. My phone buzzed, a message from the treasurer. Rizzo, board split. President pushing emergency ban. Others think we should channel this into community programming. Can you come to Tuesday's meeting with a proposal? I looked at the dark outline of the little coop and felt it, a click, like a puzzle piece finding its place. A ban? Or a bridge? On Tuesday, I would walk into that meeting with a plan so useful, so neighbor-friendly, and so embarrassingly obvious that saying no would make the board look cruel and foolish. I didn't tell the kids the details yet. I just kissed their heads and said, get some sleep. Tomorrow, we will write a new rule for this neighborhood. And, quietly to Dot, Ginger, and Biscuit, get ready, ladies. You're about to get official titles. The morning after the HOA's failed attempt at banning my chickens, the neighborhood felt different. Where once people whispered about whether my little coop was a nuisance, now they greeted me with smiles and curiosity. Children stopped by the fence to wave at Daisy and Buttercup, who clucked happily as if they understood their newfound fame. But the HOA board wasn't finished with me. Karen, their president, called an emergency meeting. When I walked into the clubhouse, I noticed they'd decorated the room with stern signs that read, preserve the neighborhood's image. As if my chickens were a national security threat. Karen, perched at the head of the table, wore her trademark scowl. Mr. Walker, she said, her voice dripping with disdain, your chickens are attracting attention. This is unacceptable. We must revisit the vote. I crossed my arms. You can't keep revoting until you get the result you want. That's not democracy, that's bullying. Some neighbors chuckled. Karen's eyes flashed. This board is tasked with maintaining standards, she snapped. And chickens do not meet those standards. We'll impose fines if necessary. But before I could respond, something extraordinary happened. A group of kids burst in carrying handmade signs that read, Save our chickens, and Buttercup for President. Their parents trailed behind, some embarrassed, others clearly supportive. One neighbor, Mrs. Reynolds, stepped forward. Karen, you don't get it. These chickens brought our community together. The kids are learning responsibility. We've had more laughter and smiles in the last month than in years. Why would you want to destroy that? For once, Karen looked rattled. The real twist came the following week. Our town's annual fair committee heard about the chickens and asked if we'd bring them as part of the children's petting zoo. The fair was one of the town's biggest events, and the HOA usually took pride in showing off our neighborhood booth. So, on the day of the fair, Daisy and Buttercup sat proudly in their little pen, decorated with ribbons. Children lined up to feed them corn kernels, parents snapped photos, and even the mayor stopped by to declare, now these are some well-kept, community-friendly chickens. Karen turned pale. The very birds she tried to ban were now the pride of the community. The final blow came when the HOA voted, officially this time, to recognize Daisy and Buttercup as the neighborhood mascots. The board even had to allocate a small budget for their care, effectively making the HOA responsible for the very chickens they tried to erase. Karen refused to sign the papers, but the rest of the board overruled her. As I watched my daughter laugh with her friends while Buttercup perched calmly on her arm, I realized this was more than just a win against the HOA. It was about proving that community should be about people, about connection, laughter, and sometimes a pair of clucking chickens. And every time I see Daisy and Buttercup strut proudly across the yard, I'm reminded that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting joy outshine pettiness.